Good afternoon. I am Lori Namazi, and I have the distinct pleasure of interviewing two incredible guys. They are going to talk to us about the LGBTQ plus Alliance. There are so many amazing industry trade organizations, and unfortunately, we can only highlight a few. But I'm thrilled that we have these guys on with us today to share some insight about this organization. So both of our panelists have very impressive backgrounds in the real estate industry, and we're just honored to have them with us today. So first, I'd like to introduce Ryan Wayant. He's a veteran mortgage lender, having worked in the industry for over a decade with US Bank and Wells Fargo. And prior to his lending career, he held senior roles with firms in operations and event management. And he founded Raw Insight, an organizational development consulting firm. He has served on the Minnesota Realtors Diversity and Inclusion Committee and previously led the Nago Reb Foundation. He has a master's in organizational leadership, was named Riz Media's real estate newsmaker in both 2021 and 2022, and was named the CEO of the LGBTQ plus Real Estate Alliance in June of 2020, 3 months before it debuted in the industry. Ryan, thank you for being here and welcome.
Thank you, Lori. What a pleasure to be here. I'm so glad to be alongside Anthony, and obviously it's wonderful to be with you.
Well, thank you. And now let me introduce Anthony. So Anthony Bullion, he has been living his passion for real estate for over 20 years after graduating from UCLA. He started his own firm in 2001, then had an impressive career with the Keller Williams brand, growing multiple franchises in a variety of leadership roles. He then went out on his own once again, launching his amazing firm, The Collective, in 2013. He now has two offices serving the Los Angeles area. The Collective is the only brokerage in LA that is certified by the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce as being an LGBTQ business enterprise. He is the current president of the Greater LA Realtors, a CAR and NAR director, was appointed by the city of West Hollywood as a commissioner for the Business License Commission, and he will be the 2023 National Vice President of the LGBTQ Plus Alliance. Anthony, welcome.
Hi, thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. Well, we have an amazing organization to talk about. So I'm going to start with you, Ryan. Ryan, tell us a little bit of the history of the LGBTQ Real Estate Alliance. Why was it formed, and what is the mission?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me just say, after hearing Anthony's bio, it makes me feel lazy a little bit.
Oh.
Like, wow, so much going on there. And we're very fortunate to have Anthony leading our organization as well. So grateful to share in all that you do, Anthony, and it's nice to be here with you. The Alliance, Lori, was started actually publicly on Father's Day of 2020. And I don't want to call it an accident, but it was not planned. There was absolutely no pre-notion that this was going to more or less take over my life and the lives of so many folks around the country. We launched to public membership on October 1st, 2020. Took some time to build up the organization to make sure that we were prepared for a public launch. And between October 1st, 2020 and today, we've put on around 2,100 members. So it's been a very aggressive coming out, if you will, for the organization. You referred to my background, and I was part of a previous organization that filled this space for real estate, NAGO Rep, the National Association of Gay and Lesbian Real Estate Professionals. And I was part of the staff there for a while. I was a member for a very long time. And the reason the Alliance actually came to be, I would say, a collective of members around the country found some, let's say, irregularities in the way that organization was being managed, both financially and from a management stance. And the more and more that folks dug in, they realized that there were some major red flags there. And ultimately, that organization ceases to exist. It did lose its 501c3 credential from the IRS. And we knew that the movement, the members that were a part of that organization deserved more. And we didn't have time to lose any momentum. So 56 chapter presidents, the entire staff of that organization and its board of directors hopped on a call, and we all decided to make the same shift at the same time. And that's what started the Alliance. Now, 2 years ago, if you would have asked me if this would have started its own entity, no, I just knew that at the time, none of us felt comfortable in the situation we were in. And we felt like we had to preserve the movement, the motion that all the members had created over 13 years at that organization. And what we managed to do, Lori, was capture all of that energy, invite all of that membership, and really become the inclusive, transparent organization that was deserved for the LGBTQ community in the real estate and housing industries. So it's been kind of a whirlwind. I forget sometimes that this is my full-time career, but I'm extremely grateful and fortunate to be managing this as an occupation now. So
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us and that transition. I know a lot of us practitioners were curious what happened. And so that gives us just enough information to understand. And I love the fact that the group came together and said, we still have more work to do. Let's evolve into something that's going to be appropriate for the time. So
and Lori, I'll
excellent.
tell you, if folks do want to read, there's a lot of other details. Inman did a very great job at covering all of the graphic details, and I would point folks in that direction if they're curious more.
Good to know. So now, Anthony, Ryan touched on the size of the organization at the time when the transition was happening. Can you give us a little more insight into the overall growth of the organization and, where you stand today and what your hope for the growth is going forward?
Sure. And Ryan, please feel free to chime in and correct me. Um, like Ryan said, 56 chapter leaders from the previous organization merged and brought their leadership skills and their members to the alliance. So that was kind of our initial start, and we've just grown from there. I believe we have over 2,000 members now. Is that right, Ryan?
Yeah,
And I
2,100, I
mean,
believe, at last check.
yeah, I mean that it's incredible the growth that we've been able to do in such a short amount of time. And I also wanted to make sure that everyone was aware 20% of our members are allies.
Mhm.
So we're so lucky and so grateful to have all the ally members. And you know um, that's where I hope that our growth just continues to keep going. Is we want more allies. We need your help. We have a lot of work to do, and we have chapters in almost every state now, right?
Yeah, and the chapter development, it's been fun to watch, and especially as we move, fingers crossed, away from the pandemic phase, and we're able to get back together in person and actually create that live culture and transform virtual back into physical. Just watching the energy that's coming out of the state and local levels in our chapter program is it's exciting. It's fun to be a part of. And Larry, I think it's important to recognize we pride ourselves on the fact that we were able to build an inclusive organization from the foundation up. We didn't have to hit the reset button or try and undo anything. And this organization, the Alliance today, boasts over 43% of its members as women or female identifying. And that's huge. The former organization, I believe at its peak, had 18%. So, those optics matter because when you have representation, when you're part of the narrative, when you're part of the picture, your voice is heard, and being counted is really what we're all here to make sure happens in every aspect of housing and real estate.
That's so fantastic, and I'm proud to share with our audience that I am an ally member. I was invited to a event that Anthony's brokerage put on. It was a virtual comedy club night. It was the funnest ever, and I got to learn more about the organization and joined. And the follow up once I joined was tremendous. So you guys are doing some really great work, putting on some really good educational programs, and I'm so excited to be a part of it and watch you guys grow. So with that, can you guys, either one of you, share a little bit more about the overall mission of the organization and what kind of goals do you have for 2022 and beyond?
Yeah, and Anthony,
Ryan.
you could jump in here anywhere. The formal mission of the organization is to advocate, elevate, and celebrate. So advocate for fair housing for all and promote LGBTQ plus homeownership, elevate professionalism in the industry through education and networking, and then obviously to celebrate diversity and inclusion in our members and our allied partners. Now, just like all of the major trade organizations, I feel like that's personalized depending on which who's president at the time. Our national president this year is Dave Gervasi, and his focus is really on that diversity, equity, and inclusion piece. He wants to make sure that we're really building up our chapters and that we're really fulfilling the mission of serving equitably and with integrity.
Yeah, and I mean, going back to the mission as well, to the first part, advocate. I, I don't think that everyone realizes that it's still legal to discriminate against the LGBTQ community in 27 states. And that's just something we're not okay with as an organization. It's a huge part of our mission and what we fight for. And we were so happy to hear Biden in his State of the Union speech bring up the Equality Act. And that's something that we want passed. And, you know, people think the Fair Housing Act will cover everything, and it really doesn't. We still need the Equality Act to go through to really protect the LGBT community in 27 states. It's a huge passion of mine. Also, the advocate part talks about equality and equity and homeownership for the LGBTQ community. We're 16% below the national average for homeownership rates. And that is something that we're also very much not okay with. We want to bring that back up to the national average and make it equal for everyone. Believe it or not, marriage is one of the biggest correlations to homeownership. And 2015, that was only 7 years ago when the LGBTQ community was legally allowed to get married in this country. So that correlation to marriage and homeownership is strong, and it's still a new thing for our community. We'll see how that plays out, and if that helps. I'm getting married next week, and I was 35 when gay marriage or LGBTQ marriage was not allowed in this country. So it's something that's finally a dream that's able to happen to me and to so many other people in our community. And we hope that that helps with homeownership rates too. But education is always the goal behind that, right?
Thank you for sharing all of those stats, because I don't think a lot of people really understand the disparity that this community faces with homeownership and just equal rights in general. So, it's something that I know, Anthony, that you are very passionate about, obviously Ryan as well. And I'm so thrilled to see that the awareness is out there, that you're focused on the awareness so that people truly understand this is an issue and this is not okay. And one of our questions we were going to talk about today is why is this organization still relevant? Well, you just explained it, Anthony, because you have so much work to still do just to have those same rights that everyone else does. So thank you for sharing those stats with us. They're really very eye-opening. So now,
and Lori, just to, if I
Sure.
may, just to put some further context on that, I'm very fortunate to attend a roundtable discussion once a month with my peers from the other major 4 organizations that celebrate diversity in real estate. And if you talk to Gary Acosta at NAREP or Renee Wilson over at NAREB, they'll tell you the primary goal of their organization is to increase home ownership for their minority segment, and obviously through that build generational wealth. Well, the reality is that our minority segment, the LGBTQ plus community, we're about 60 years behind the 8 ball on this. And I say that because the Equal Rights Amendment to the Constitution in 1968 does not cover orientation or identity. And as a result, subsequently, the Fair Housing Act does not cover identity or orientation either. So Anthony referred to the 27 states. 27 states have 0 protections for identity or orientation. There are actually 29 states that do not cover transgender folks for civil rights. So we work on the figure between 27 and 29. And in those states, it is perfectly legal for a seller to tear up or completely invalidate a purchase agreement if they find out that my husband and I are a gay couple trying to purchase their home. And that's just the law of the land right now. Now, the Equality Act, which Anthony referred to, would encourage fairness. Obviously, it's a practice that's living and breathing. You can't force everyone, but you can certainly enforce laws, right? And so it would add orientation and identity as federally protected classes along with the rest of them, making it harder to discriminate against folks in our community. And that's when we can really turn our efforts and energy from raising the home ownership rate in the LGBTQ plus community from 49% to at least the American average of 65%. Not to mention, if we look at the non-Hispanic Caucasian population in America, that number is close to 75% home ownership. So the difference there in what the home ownership percentages in this country alone are staggering. So there is a lot of work to do.
Absolutely. Thank you for adding that additional context, because it's so important that we understand that this is a huge problem across our country, and we can do so much better. And it sounds like you guys are really focused on the advocacy part to make sure that all of the states provide these equal rights across home ownership, and more than home ownership. Now, can you give us some ideas and some examples of how others can be better allies to your organization and to the community and as a whole? How about you, Anthony?
Go ahead. Well, first thing is take our certified ally class. We've created a course that any association can put out there to teach on how to work with the LGBTQ community. And it's a lot of, it's extremely timely. And I think everyone who attends it will learn something, even if you're part of the LGBTQ community. For myself, I have the first trans man who's joined my office as a realtor, and I'm so much more sensitive and thinking about things I've never thought of before because I'm working with them at a level that I never have before and I've never had to think of before. So if I'm learning things daily, everybody can be learning things daily, and this class will help really open your eyes and give you at least a good introduction and some things to talk about, and some things just to think about of how you can be a little bit more sensitive to make sure that we're treating everybody in a respectable way and treating them fairly. It's a really, really important class, and I would encourage every association out there to look into that and putting that on and encouraging people to attend that.
And I'll just add that we're
fantastic.
actually offering that on an individual basis too now, quarterly, once a quarter. We offer an online version of the training that it's the fully credentialed version, but you don't have to wait for your organization or realtor board or association to offer it. We are offering it directly through the Alliance now for any individuals that want to become certified allies. As I say, we just finished our March course. It sold out, which was a great problem to have, but we have one quarterly, and you can find details about the specific dates and how to register on our website.
Great. And be sure to let us know what that website is. You can tell us now, and then we'll get it again at the end.
Yeah, www.realestatealliance.org.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing about that certification, because I must have missed that in the newsletter. And so I'm going to be looking for that class and take that class just as soon as I can. Thanks for sharing that. So are there any examples of any roadblocks or challenges that are more common in this community that our audience may not be aware of that could really enlighten them?
Yeah, and it's such an interesting question because the data that we work with within the LGBTQ community is 100% reliant on self-disclosure, right? So we look at discrimination cases, and the report that we ran last year showed that the actual amount of discrimination occurring against our community is significantly lower than the perceived discrimination. Well, why is that? Is that true? I don't know. We can only speak to what's reported. I can tell you that if you look at the generational differences on how the community breaks down, almost 20% of Generation Z identify as LGBTQ+. Now, versus less than 1% of the traditionalist generation, you can tell that something is going on between the generations, whether that's acceptance or feeling like folks are able to bring their full self to every aspect of what they do and who they are. The generation below ours, the Gen Z folks, are truly inspirational. And I believe that, I don't think we're just sprouting like daisies. I think it is truly because society in general is becoming more accepted. And we're grateful for that. I will say, the report that we published last year really dives into discrimination, and that's also available for download on our website, www.realestatealliance.org. But it looks at a direct correlation between being bullied as an adolescent or teen in your high school and middle school years to a direct tie in lower home ownership rates. And you're thinking, well, how is that possible? How could they have mapped that out? And what the survey and the research paper actually did is they followed folks through different spans of their life to see what an impact discrimination and bullying had on them. And how it correlates, Lori, is the kids and students who are focused on the harassment and bullying they're being victimized or they're falling victim of in high school and middle school typically have lower achievement as far as testing is concerned, which prevents them from placing into the college or post-secondary that they want, which then impairs their ability to get the job that they want after college, which obviously impacts their financial achievement, sometimes their credit, making them less likely to qualify for a mortgage, which prohibits them from obtaining financing and getting a home. So it's absolutely fascinating. We always talk about, within the community, I should say, it gets easier and bullying dies off. Well, the truth is that we need to eliminate it altogether, because bullying, even in the teenage years, has long-term consequences, and lower home ownership within a diverse community is one of those consequences.
Wow, that's really fascinating, and I can't wait to take a look at that study, because you think about it, we are hearing more and more about bullying because of social media. We're just more aware of it, and to really recognize some of the long-term effects, the financial effects, and um, just the overall success of these kids as they grow up is shocking. Wow.
Yeah, it really is. It's really sad.
Wow. Wow. So now, Anthony, in your bio, we talked about your brokerage being certified, the only brokerage in LA that's certified by the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce as being an LGBTQ business enterprise. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting that the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber offers something like this. And if your business is at least 50% LGBTQ owned, you're able to be certified as a business enterprise. And this is something that's very similar to being um, women owned or minority owned. Or if you're a vet, you can also be certified from certain organizations. And a lot of businesses want to contract out to diverse, different types of business owners. And it's an opportunity for our community to now be a part of that. Um, there's, some businesses may have a quota of saying, hey, we want to give 20% of our business to different diverse businesses, and we want 5% of that to go to LGBTQ businesses. So, it's a great start to reach out to try to create that equity among all the different types of businesses that are out there.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations with that. I know that just from knowing you from our involvement at CAR together, you really run a wonderful business. You are an ethical and conscientious broker. So well done. Congratulations on that. So now, are there any other ideas or details that you guys can share with us that would help us to support the community, to better understand the community, and just to be better realtor partners together? Is there any other thoughts?
Yeah, I guess my my overarching advice would be, don't be shy. If you have a question, ask. And so many folks today, because of the supercharged socio-political climate that we're living in, are so afraid that they're going to offend someone. instead of asking a question of something that they're curious about, they just ignore it or they pretend like it doesn't exist. The way that we're going to grow together, the way that we're going to find more allies, we're going to find more friends, we're going to find more business, is through being inquisitive. And as long as that comes from a genuine place in the heart of learning and wanting to do better, I think just about everyone in our community is willing to meet anyone where they are and help them get to where they want to be. So, one kind of parting thought here as we wrap up. We're all learning together, and the LGBTQ plus community is a direct reflection of the mosaic that is society. We're constantly evolving and changing. And just like Anthony said, as a white man leading this organization that has over 16 letters in the full acronym, I'm learning every single day. And I got to tell you, I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But when we're all in it together and when we're all learning together in real time and we're all trying to evolve to get to a better place, that's when things really happen. That's when the magic really happens. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here so much. And thank you all for doing what you're doing. It's been fun to watch the growth and evolution over the last couple of years. And now to be a part of that, it's humbling. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That was so well said. Anthony, any other thoughts you have you'd like to share with the group?
Yeah, sure. One final thought. I think a lot of people thought when gay marriage passed that, okay, we're all equal now. And I just wanted to remind people we still have a long way to go. I was reminded of this just a few weeks ago when my mom's best friend is basically my second mom, said she's not able to come to my wedding because it would be putting God before me or before her. And what I'm doing is wrong. It's a sin and I can't be a part of your life anymore. I've been holding this from you for 20 years and now's the time I have to draw the line. So even now in 2022, religion and that culture still has a long way to go to show acceptance, whether they believe, what anyone is doing is a sin or not, that we still have a long way to go with that. And to lose somebody in a close circle of mine really was a big eye opener to remind us that, religion has a long way to go and we need all the help we can get and support and love from all of our allies. We would love for you to join our organization at realestatealliance.org and support us and come hang out with us. Like we said, over 20% of our members are allies right now. Like, let's get that up to at least 50%. We have amazing education, so many great events going on. It's such a great family and group of people that is accepting of everyone, no matter what. And I just am so grateful that we're able to be a part of this session with some of the other amazing leaders that are doing similar things out there. Let's support each other, join each other's organizations. And I hope I see you at some of our events soon. And thank you so much, Lori.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that personal story. And that's so hard, but just know you have a lot of wonderful people in your life who love you and wish you well on your upcoming nuptials. Congratulations. And look forward to seeing you at our state conference soon. I really appreciate the conversation with you both today. Thank you for the good work that you're doing. And you're making an impact. You're making an impact in our country and in our industry. So thank you. I look forward to talking to you guys again soon.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.